Hey everyone, it's Xander.
And Alejandro.
And welcome to another chapter of Better Days, chapter 13. Not gonna lie, this one's actually pretty tame and boring. There's still some stupid parts, there's still some questionable areas, but overall, it could be worse. It could be far, far worse. So, let's go ahead and take a look at chapter 13.
I've seen better days. I've seen better days.
Wow. First fucking panel, and we got fan service already.
And it's nice to see we still have incest undertones in the last panel.
The jokes write themselves. Moving on, the twins are planning for their vacation to... Florida.
Do you have something against Florida?
No, but Naylor has a major hard-on for it. It doesn't show up too much in Better Days, but in original life, you hear several times about how great and wonderful Florida is. Of course, anyone that actually lives in Florida will tell you that Naylor's just delusional.
Fortunately, we'll be getting spared a full chapter about the glory of Florida, because instead the family is going to Virginia to see their sick grandfather instead. Oh, and cute joke between the two pages about how Sheila won't let Lucy go out in a bikini like that.
Because, she has such a great track record of being a great mother. I can't believe I didn't mention this in the last chapter, but can you believe that for the second time now, Lucy went crying to Fisk about her problems instead of her mother?
The following page gets into a subplot with the chapter that pretty much will be forgotten for most of it, by the way, regarding what Fisk is going to do with his life. I love how he admits his total hatred for college.
Like creator, like Avatar. Naylor never went to college, and neither will Fisk. Way to hold back your own creation there, pal.
So, what is he going to do then?
Oh, don't worry. You'll find out soon enough.
I don't like that smile you've got there.
We get a page midway on the road trip now, and I gotta admit this is kind of funny. Naylor actually nailed it for once.
Wow, Naylor understood comedy.
This is the frustrating part about Naylor. He can do good stuff. This whole page, the stereotypical disgusting gas station bathroom joke. He did it right. He didn't try and add his own variety to it. So, why can't he always nail his jokes?
I'm being rhetorical. Don't answer that.
And then, in exactly one page, he ruins his streak. The ending punchline we've all seen, sure. But Lucy blatantly grabbing his pants and zipping him up throws in a creepiness factor that ruins the punchline. It doesn't matter what the ending joke was, because the shock of this panel is already taking priority in your mind. Naylor doesn't spend any more time on the road, and we get to the point of them meeting with the grandparents in Virginia. Sheila is greeted by her mom, and they comment on the kids. I wouldn't mind it if we didn't have a token, "Look how great Fisk is" comment.
So she'll comment on how handsome Fisk is, but completely neglect to compliment Lucy. Also, what is that supposed to mean? He's beating the girls off with a stick as often as possible? Naylor, do you not see how that could be taken the wrong way?
Well, let's move on to the next page of the comic, featuring Sheila and her mom doing what women in a Naylor comic know how to do best.
Let me guess. Cooking?
Cooking! However did you guess?
Well, the only thing that female characters in this comic and any Naylor work seem to be capable of is cooking, screwing, and getting pissed off. And, well, Naylor needs a little bit of build-up for the last two possibilities.
So yeah, Sheila and her mom are in the kitchen, and they mention Sheila's sister Bobby and her family. Bobby, like Sheila, is also a single mother, but for different reasons.
This better not be going where I think it's going.
Oh, this is a fun page. Your worst fears are confirmed. Bobby is yet another whore. And to make it even better, she's dating a black guy, and wow! Sheila's mom is a racist bitch.
Are you really about to cry? Has Naylor actually broken you already? We haven't gotten to the best chapters yet.
No, I just needed both of my hands to collect my thoughts there for a moment. God, it's disappointing that there's just another woman in a Naylor comic with these loose morals.
Along with other loose things.
Don't you dare rimshot that. And Naylor, did you really have to use that word?
Yeah, that is something we both agreed not to actually say. Not even for this review, not even to clarify what we're talking about. You guys can figure it out from here. And it's no secret that Naylor's racist, so of course he would find an excuse to throw that in there. And he'll hide behind, well, that's just what the characters are saying. Give it up, Naylor. You're a racist little shit, and we know it.
Sheila at least seems appalled by her mother, but that doesn't change the fact that the grandparents are both racist as fuck.
Wow. So the mother will call a guy she's never met derogatory terms, and apparently the father will be just as upset, even though they both know times are now different.
Well, at least now we know where Fisk being racist back in Chapter 5 came from.
Not to drag this page out any longer, but they also mention Bobby has a daughter. And if you thought things couldn't get any worse, you'll find out Bobby is an even worse mother than Sheila is. Bobby drags her daughter from one beauty pageant to the next, treating her like an object rather than a daughter. So, of course, at first it sounds like Sheila did a better job raising her kids.
Yeah, let's get the list for this one. Let's see. She's neglected her kids to have sex.
Yelled at Fisk for ruining her one-night stand, and later again yelled at him for no real reason.
Almost lost Lucy.
Failed to comfort Lucy after Ted broke her heart.
Failed to notice Lucy's heart being broken again.
Became a homewrecker.
And to this day has failed to notice her own two kids are having sex with one another.
Wow, so Naylor did such a bad job at making Sheila into a good mother character that he had to make an even worse mother to compare her to.
Who needs character development when you can just make a straw man instead? And speaking of the straw man, or woman in this case, we meet Bobby. Controlling is an understatement for this woman. Oh, and hey, look, it's her boyfriend.
I'm afraid to see what stereotypes Naylor gave him. Also, that daughter sounds brainwashed.
And before Fisk and Lucy can escape, Bobby notices them and they all get introduced to her tits.
Okay, is Fisk supposed to look like he wants to grab her breasts, or is he supposed to be terrified of them?
Either is possible, and both outcomes will be great to make fun of. But we know Naylor's an ass man, so I'm going to go with terrified. Also, once again, Fisk gets complimented on how he looks, Lucy gets jack shit.
You know, there comes a point where you have to wonder if Naylor is misogynistic or just really homosexual. And it's pages like this one that make you wonder that.
And now it's time to meet Persia.
Yeah, this won't be awkward at all. Go on, get to know your brainwashed doll of a cousin.
It never ceases to amaze me how it only takes pages, no, panels, for me to dislike a character that Naylor has made. All we've seen her do is control her daughter and brag about the pageants she's won. But her daughter is nothing but a living trophy to her. And I'm willing to bet, like with most characters, Bobby has no redeeming qualities either.
And in the next page, Naylor shows, once again, he knows nothing about what he's talking about. Let's play our favorite Naylor game, Count the Problems with this page.
Okay, even if they are anthropomorphic characters, I highly doubt that it's a requirement to get up before sunrise to style your hair for the day. That would mean she's getting up before 5 a.m., and most people aren't doing anything till 8 or 9 a.m.
2. The whole modeling thing. First, she's just going from pageant to pageant, but now she's a model? Complete asshole to make her life sound even worse.
3. She can have time for hobbies. Even listening to music is a hobby.
4. What's she doing about school? There's no mention of this anywhere.
5. She's talking about running away to become an actress, yet she showed no signs of being anything but an obedient tool to her mother, and usually when you are controlled like that from birth, you accept it as normal or develop Stockholm Syndrome.
6. Who is saying in the second to last panel? It doesn't fit with Lucy's following dialogue, and if Persia was saying it, then the bubble should be connected to her last speech bubble.
7. When we get to the end of it, this whole page is another shot at pretty girls and how they don't have time for boys. No doubt something else Naylor was telling himself at the time of writing this chapter, instead of accepting the fact that he's not a very appealing person to women.
I think we're done now. Moving on. The girls go off to look for Fisk, who wandered off into the woods, and there's not much else to say.
I had to admit, Persia getting a face full of tree branches is kind of funny.
Oh no! Now her pretty fur that she gets up before sunrise to work on is going to be ruined.
Huh. Normally I'm the sarcastic one.
Okay, britches, again, No one says that anymore.
If you're wondering where the rest of him is, sadly no, he's not dead in a ditch somewhere. He's fishing with a stick. And while Lucy gives her social commentary, Fist decides he's going to drag her down to the water and has to strip her down.
Don't worry, they don't screw each other this time.
That doesn't make this any less awkward.
So the two play in the water like they are lovers instead of siblings because, they kinda are. And the whole time Persia is watching them. Yeah, that's not going to look weird at all. Also, the wet fur effect is terrible.
I can only wonder what Persia has to be thinking as she watches them.
Probably something along the lines of, so this is what Mom meant by my cousins are all hicks. I bet they're fucking each other too. Well, we've had too many non-dialogue heavy pages, so we come back to the sisters now, and oh goody! It's time for another good versus evil battle. Bobby wants to know what Sheila thinks of her new boyfriend, and Sheila makes a few snide comments about how Bobby is showing her boyfriend off like a fashion accessory.
Personally, I think Sheila here is being the bitch of the two. All Bobby did is ask what you think of her boyfriend. Yeah, she's a whore, but you could at least answer her question instead of starting a fight.
It takes Sheila the rest of the page and a lot of pointless dialogue layer to get to her point. Does this guy know what he's in for? And, for trying to make Bobby sound like a horrible slut of a woman, she's just more of a terrible, over-controlling mother than a whore. And that is supposed to be the bigger problem that Naylor wrote for this character. I hate her for different reasons than Naylor wanted. Anyways, the fighting kicks into overdrive with Sheila taking the low blow and commenting on Bobby's first husband. So, here's a fun plot twist for y'all. Her first husband, not Persia's daddy.
Okay, yeah, I take it back. I hate her for both reasons now. Also, Naylor actually made a porn comic showing exactly who Bobby screwed to get pregnant with Persia.
Wow, really? A whole comic dedicated to a character being a cheating whore.
It happens more often than you think.
And it gets worse and even less classy. Bobby now telling Sheila that if her dead husband was still alive, Sheila would have eventually cheated on him.
Wow, that is a tasteless jab at Sheila.
And Sheila agrees, but Bobby cuts her off with, okay, seriously, strict moral code? Since when?
Sheila only tried to act like a proper mother after Fist almost poisoned Lucy to death. And even after that, she continued to screw up. She's just sadly the best option we have. I mean, arguably there's Liz's mother, but...
Yeah, let's just leave that one and move along.
And Naylor does us all the favor of showing Sheila's most recent screw-up with Sam, meaning our straw man, once again, has a point. And it leaves me wondering, when you have a character like Bobby point out how bad Sheila screwed up, am I supposed to actually like this character or not? I have no fucking idea what Naylor wants me to think of this woman or Sheila.
Oh look, the black guy gets his first lines of dialogue. Nice to see he's still in this. Honestly, I feel like Naylor's using this guy more than Bobby is.
And we learned that these two have always been fighting since they could talk.
Oh, just fuck each other already. I'm sure you two will get along just fine after that.
Except lesbians don't exist in the Naylor world, and only Fisk has that ability.
Well, after 2 pages of the mothers being bitches, we move on. Sheila going to get the kids, and... okay, again, this is pretty funny. I love that everything's fine fake look Sheila is giving. The timing, the punchline, the simplicity of the joke. Again, he nailed it.
Wait, so how did they even convince Persia to join them in playing?
I think I'd prefer not to know, but I'll bet it has something to do with Fisk being the...
Randy and Man God!
What? You got to do it last time.
Feel better now?
Yeah, that is pretty fun to say.
So if you've been paying attention, as you might expect, Bobby flips her shit. Big time.
Oh, the number of snide comics and exploitable jokes I can make!
Oh, here we go.
Get up there and worship.
Is it gonna take another 3 hours?
What else did you do?
She caught a turtle, duh.
Were you half dressed with that boy?
Normally I'd say she's overreacting, but this is an Naylor comic.
Stop that.
Fine.
Don't worry, Mother. I'm nothing like you. Ouch. Even the daughter knows what a dirty whore her mother is.
I'm amazed she's even talking back to her mother at all.
And to end this page, we have Fisk, of all people, commenting about the whole family having weirdness in it.
Oh god, this is just begging for like 5 more snide comments, but you all have heard them all already.
Also, on a last note here, this is just personal taste, but am I the only one bothered with how Naylor drew Persia's chest? He took his time anytime he did Bobby and Sheila, giving them more full curves, but Persia and Lucy just have straight lines. I guess that's just how he draws the difference between girls and full-grown women. It's nothing major, but something I've noticed.
Well, after seeing this page, all I've got to say is, go Persia! It's about time she grew a spine.
So after that little explosion, we move on to Bobby and her boyfriend having a talk, and oh my god! It's a miracle! Check out his dialogue, check out how he acts. This is a black guy that's not treated as a stereotype or in a horribly negative light.
Well, I have to question how sane he is to say she has a delightful family.
And he doesn't even mind that Bobby's parents are old racist shits either. This is the most chill and relaxed black guy I think I've ever seen that just doesn't give a fuck.
I have to say, this is a step in the right direction for Naylor as a writer. How many more times are we going to see this guy? Why do I even ask?
We move on to the hospital. The grandfather is stable enough to talk. He seems happy, but if only he knew just how true his words were, whether he meant them as a joke or not. If he had any idea what his grandchildren were like, he'd have a heart attack and die of embarrassment right there on the spot. It's not long after this page, the grandfather passes away, and we have the funeral while everyone is still there. We then go into Fisk and how he's been thinking a lot. This loops back to the start of the chapter about how he's not sure what to do. I'd make fun of him using the word nebulous, but I already did that. He talks about wanting to see his father, but he can't, and as luck would have it, they happen to have walked right to the Vietnam Veterans War Memorial.
Okay, when we were told that they were going to Virginia, Naylor kind of neglected to mention that they were going to be right there at Washington, D.C. And we're giving no hints of this whatsoever. I guess best case scenario is that, to explain all this, they flew him to D.C. for the funeral.
But that still makes them walking to the wall awfully convenient.
Yes. However, I'm going to overlook this. It's something small, and it's actually advancing the plot with the least amount of bullshit so far that I've seen. Naylor has certainly done far worse things, so I'm cool with it.
But we agree that it's awfully convenient that he's walking right past where his dad's name is.
Oh yeah, that's way too convenient.
As expected, Fisk finds his father's name, and this is probably the most heavy thing Naylor has laid on us since Fisk almost killing Lucy.
And suddenly we're back home.
Yeah, no dwelling on things, no talking about their father, nothing. Instead, we talk about the kids and what colleges they are going to. Fisk, however, they think is undecided.
Okay, it's downright creepy and rude for them to both be spouting what they want Fisk to be. Also, male stripper, lion tamer, pool boy.
Nice to see they both know he has no real talents. And Anchorman?
Sure, why not? He could be the next...
I don't think you want to be going wherever you're going with that.
I was just gonna say Ron Burgundy.
Well, it doesn't really matter because Fisk has decided he's going to join the military.
Yeah, so remember when I said you'd be getting your answer soon enough?
You meant now.
Yep. And remember when I said you'd regret asking why Fisk wasn't a soldier for the dance?
You were referring to this.
Uh-huh. Any more questions?
No, I'm actually quite terrified of what might be the answer.
On one last note, where did Sheila come from for the last panel? And look at how awkward the poses are for Lucy and Sheila. Lucy just kind of looks retarded with the head tilt. Sheila was given a few action lines to show something got her attention. But what is with her hand placement? The same question applies to Lucy. Naylor could decide if her arms should be resting or doing something. Liz is about the only one decently posed. So yeah, this is the big reveal of the chapter. This is what it all built up to. Fisk joining the army. Sheila asks for him to never change.
Yes, because he's such a wonderful son. By the way, it's nice to see you two are back on speaking terms at last.
And Fizz simply says that while Sheila's grandfather changed, he doesn't think he'll be in a war and that he'll always be him.
Isn't that a shame? Anyways, I want to talk about something here because there's really not been a better time to do it. It's about Fizz joining the military for a way to go. I'm having a bit of deja vu right here. When I first started these reviews and my rants on Naylor, I said he became an artist for the wrong reasons. And Fizz joining the military for a purpose in life, kind of the same thing. I have friends, I have family, I know people that have joined the military and they've had various reasons. They feel like they're protecting people they care about. They were drafted. They're doing it to afford college. No one I know of joins the military because they think that's their calling in life. What exactly are you trying to gain out of life by joining an organization that trains you to kill people? And before anyone jumps my balls about being anti-military, I'm not. I'm just saying it's not usually where you go to find your calling in life. So, now that my rant on that is over, I have to say this is not too terrible of a chapter.
I read this chapter and I have to say it's full of distractions. When you are writing something, there are several themes to the story. There's the overall theme which the entire story is supposed to be leading towards. This is called the main plot. Then there are little themes here and there for each chapter. Sometimes not. But when you have a theme like a character dying, the character of the grandpa in any family is supposed to be important. And we see him for 1 page.
2.
Very little. But right before we see him, there's this interlude about them playing in the river. And in the hands of a better writer, it could have been a very poignant scene showing the fun times they're having right before they have to go through suffering. But Naylor just throws it in there for the sake of it being there. It means nothing. It's a distraction. It takes our attention off of what we should be focusing on for a moment and then shifts it right back again. Don't do that. You're not supposed to do that. And other than that, nothing major of importance other than him joining the army happens at all. When you can go through a whole chapter and have such little of plot development, you are not progressing the story in an efficient manner. You are filling our eyes with fluff. We are seeing nothing of value. And I get a feeling that there are going to be lots more chapters like this one.
I wouldn't say there's too many more chapters like this one, but overall, I don't hate this chapter as much. And kind of going back over what I've said, it's not full of as much strawman and bullshit. Bobby's still a terrible mother and a strawman of a character. Persia is just a doll. But there were some instances of improvement. The black character, for one. This is the best black character you will probably ever see, and it's a shame that you never see him again. Because neither of us can really find any flaws with him or like any horrible stereotypes or anything. He's not a bad character. And there are things that it does only advance the plot at the very end by showing Fisk is joining the military, but it did do something to advance the plot, and it wasn't blatant soapboxing for once. There's no, unless you count Bobby and Sheila bitching at one another, but I don't really think that was what Naylor was trying to soapbox about. I don't feel like there was some enemy in this chapter like there have been in several past chapters. I don't feel like there's something he's trying to necessarily preach.
It's pretty sad that that's the best thing you can say about a Naylor thing.
Yeah, is that he's not being preachy and pretentious. Anyways, that about wraps up this chapter. See you guys next time.
When grandfather dies, life will be strange. When grandfather dies, my whole world will change. When grandfather dies, I'll scream and I'll yell, 'cause I'll be fucking rich as hell.
Okay, I need a notebook for this. I'll be right back.